All right, rest holds over with, guys. Now we're going to start doing rebooking Money in the Bank. Now, the preface this ahead of time, the rules were can't add CM Punk because it doesn't seem like he's coming back. Can't go back anywhere further than Payback. That is the cutting off point. The Raw after Payback is the first thing that you can change, but you can't change the events of Payback or, go back to Royal Rumble or something like that. No imaginary things when it comes to bringing back people from retirement or the dead or
Oh,
adding more people to the roster that
that's my
are from the
Benoit
indies.
Daniel Bryan match gone.
And you also have to kind of take into account the booking of the matches and the time and stuff. Obviously, the standard rule applies where you can't have 40 matches on a card that all get a half an hour apiece because that just does not work out. So we're going to go along here, tell you what we would do if we had the creative control, reasonably within creative control, with the WWE roster, what we would do for Money in the Bank. And we're going to start off with Wago. Somebody gives you the reins, they tell you, we've got a couple ideas going on, stay within the realm of possibility. What would you end up doing?
Okay, I've got pretty much the bulk of the card, excluding a filler match or two and a Divas match. But as far as the tag team division goes, we had that feud with the Usos and the Wyatt family coming out of the John Cena and Bray Wyatt feud. So it'd be illogical to separate those guys. So for a tag team championship match, I'd have Jimmy and Jay lose the belts to Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, just because I don't really see what you can do with the guys, and maybe putting the belts on them will add some interest to the tag division, which is sorely missing. As far as the Intercontinental Championship scene goes, I'm really feeling that Bad News Barrett needs to turn face and turn face soon before he just gets lost and forgotten about like he has in the past. And as far as guys that I can see him using as a launching pad to do that, and who aren't going to really get hurt being defeated because no one gives a shit about them, is Alberto Del Rio. And as much as I hate watching Alberto Del Rio wrestle, I love watching him lose. So I'd build some tension between them with Bad News Barrett giving him some bad news, have the face turn happen eventually, and BNB beating him at the pay-per-view for the and keeping his Intercontinental belt. Sheamus also, I'm really big into everyone defending their belts, even if the Money in the Bank ladder match is there. So I'd also have Sheamus defend his championship, and I'd have him do it against Bo Dallas. I'd have Sheamus lose to, say, Cesaro or whoever needs to qualify for the Money in the Bank match due to whatever Bo Dallas might be doing on the outside of the ring. He likes to do his little Bo leave sketches. So there could be something you can interplay with there, which leads to a bit of friction. You can build it up with all of Bo Dallas's goofy promos for the week and lead to Sheamus versus Bo Dallas match. And I wouldn't necessarily have the Bo Dallas win the first match, though I would want to put the belt on him in the long run. So I'd have Sheamus defeat Bo Dallas via probably disqualification or count out some bullshit win and build up to a future match. Rusev needs to step up an opponent, so I'm thinking the best guy to put him in there with is Rob Van Dam right now. I'm not into him, but obviously WWE is. So if you want to still continue this whole angle of him doing this Russian pride bullshit, you can have Rob Van Dam come out, point at himself a few times, and you're off to the races. As far as a co-main event goes, you've got this whole evolution system. I'm not one for splitting up the Shield. So if you had, say, Batista quit in that promo that you had at the beginning of Raw, that can lead towards tension with Randy Orton and Triple H. Say Orton loses a qualifying match, that continues building the friction between them, and you can end up having a tweener Orton versus a heel Triple H, or even turn Orton face, just because Randy Orton's got very stagnant in his role, and sometimes the best thing you can do is just turn a guy face if there's nothing else for him. So and the main reason I do this for anything is it's a matter of I've got nothing for either guy, but they both kind of flatlined in their momentum from their current feud with the Shield, so one of them needs a boost, and this would be the best way to do it. Main event time, WWE Championship on the line. I'd have all three members of the Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. I'd have Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, and Cena. I'd have Cesaro and Reigns be the two guys that look the strongest in this match, tease each of them winning at some point. The end result is going to be Bray Wyatt winning with the interference from the other Wyatt family members. And your final scene going off air on the pay-per-view is every member of the Wyatt family holding a title.
Hmm. Now, what did you have in mind when you were building this card? What was like the main thing that you wanted to accomplish?
The Wyatt family's dominance. I
What?
think after the Cena loss, they look incredibly weak. And I think Bray Wyatt's the perfect opponent, perfect guy to headline the company until Daniel Bryan gets back and sets up a great feud for him to drop the belt to Daniel Bryan. As far as the Orton and Triple H thing, as I said, guys got no momentum, so you need to build up some feuds where some guys have nothing to do and get some guys momentum where they have none.
All right, so Peyton, what would your card be?
All right. Well, I would start off on a pre-show match defending the Intercontinental title, Wade Barrett against newcomer Adam Rose, who I think has been pretty much an utter disappointment, and I think we could already relegate him to mid-card status, maybe lower mid-card status, I would more say. So I would have him go into this match. People might think he has a chance because he's a new guy, but no, I would have Wade Barrett get a decisive victory over Adam Rose. Adam Rose can bounce back. He could just go back into party mode the next night and be like, I'm not going to be a lemon. And Wade Barrett continues his reign of success. We start our show with another title match, a United States title match of Sheamus defending his belt against Rusev. Funny enough, neither of these guys are from the United States. I would have Rusev win the match, win the United States title, and then destroy it. Because that's what he does. They're here to destroy the United States power. And then he introduces the Vladimir Putin Memorial Belt. Just a belt with his face on it. It'd be great. Or it could have like that.
The skull belt that Austin used to have.
Yeah,
the difference instead of the skull, it's fucking Putin.
Or better yet, have Gorbachev on it.
He's
don't
got
even
like
know who that is.
the little side plates from the WWE title belt. You've got Gorbachev. You got like Stalin, fucking Lenin.
And then it could have like the big star on it somewhere too, because that star seems to be a big deal for him. But yeah, I think that's something for Rusev to do. Give him a little bit more legitimacy, because the medal's nice, but you got to do something to show that this guy's doing big things rather than just having an undefeated streak. Because I think people aren't buying it. So put a belt on him, let him be strong with it. You know, maybe it'll help the United States title at that. Even if he's changing it to something else, it is the same lineage. Then we would have a Divas title match. 3 title matches in a row. I guess I didn't realize that when I was putting this together, but I think it'll still work. And this one would be Paige, of course, who I think a lot of people would say has been a bit underwhelming as well. I think you got to fix that. And I would fix it by putting her in there with someone she has great chemistry with and is also someone who needs a lot of rehabbing as well, Emma. We know these girls are fantastic with each other. We've seen them put many great matches on before. Put them on, give them 15 minutes, give them whatever time they need to go out there and have a tremendous match and impress everyone and let them see what they really got, rather than just a girl who can scream and a girl who does a thing with her arms. Because they are so much more than that, and they have so much more to offer. And specifically, you got to put this match in a spot like this. You cannot put it in that death spot that they always put it right before the main event, where everyone's going to the bathroom and to the merch tables and to the concession stands, because no one's going to give a shit. So no one's going to respect it unless you show it respect. So that's what you got to do with it. Then I would quiet things down a bit. I would have a more lighthearted match with Bo Dallas against just another random opponent for him, but someone that has a little bit of a name, Big E. Big E's not doing too much at this moment. He's kind of giving back all the momentum that he had gotten before. You know, that's the way careers are a lot of times. It's a lot of give and take, and he's on the give point right now. So I would have him suffer another loss here to Bo Dallas, putting up another marker for him. Now, since it's Money in the Bank, we already have all these ladders here. Why not use them for a tag team title ladder match? And I would do a 4-way, which is always the best way to have these kind of matches. I would include the Usos, the Wyatt family, Rybaxel, and Brotherhood. And I would remain them as Brotherhood. I would still have Cody doing this thing where he's doubting himself, but he's with Goldust here. And this is the one where he really loses it. This is the one where he's up there, he's got his hands in the titles, and something happens. Maybe not even at the fault of someone else. Maybe he like slips and trips on a banana peel and falls into a table, allowing whoever else to go up there and win it. Whatever's going to hurt him in the end. And who I would have win it would be the Usos, just retained for now. I wouldn't switch them off just yet. The Usos are a fantastic team. A lot of people like them. I think any team in this deserves it. I think the Wyatts would be an excellent choice. I would even say Ryback would be a fine team to put into it. But I would keep it on the Usos for now. And then I would have Cody start doing this thing with the Stardust and Goldust tag teaming up and have them eventually lead their way into winning the titles around SummerSlam. Now, since we are in Boston, we should have a Boston Brawl, since I have no other idea what I should call the match. This would be the first match between Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose against Seth Rollins and Randy Orton. I would have that storyline play out exactly as it was and have this match as your starter to the feud. And that's all it is there. I would have this end with, gosh, that's a tough one to say. I would have Roman Reigns and Ambrose win it, but pin Randy Orton. Let Rollins remain looking strong at it. Have him do a lot of crazy spots and really be the workhorse of his team. But Randy Orton ends up coming off as a weak link, and then you can play on that later on. Now, after all that craziness, we come to our death spot. The spot we usually have our Divas match. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to have a comedy segment. We're going to have El Torito and Los Matadores come out and just, shoot T-shirts at the crowd or whatever. But they're going to be interrupted by a man who thinks he would be better fit as the Matador for El Torito, Damien Sandow. Damien Sandow comes out dressed as a Matador. He tries to convince him, but he fails. He ends up getting gored. Everybody laughs. Segment's over. That's all it needs to be. Just another filler thing. Damien Sandow gets a paycheck. The Los Matadores get a paycheck. El Torito may be able to sell some masks whenever they decide to market them. There you go. Brings us to our main event, the Money in the Bank title match. I decided to forego having a briefcase match. I just wanted to have the one for the titles. And in that match, I would have John Cena. Of course, he's got to be there. Dolph Ziggler, because you got to have people in there that's going to make this a great show. And, of course, the crowd likes him as an underdog. Good person to put in there. Cesaro, I would remain. I think he's an excellent choice to have in there. He's building up a lot of steam, and once again, is someone I think the crowd would really get behind as a people's choice. Rob Van Dam, once again, another spot guy, and that's all he is. I don't think anybody would take him seriously. Same for the Big Show. Big Show I would have in there just more as a wall, an obstacle for people to have to get through to make the match tougher for whoever is going to eventually win it. Bray Wyatt, another guy, big, bright up-and-comer with a lot of steam. People could believe that it's his time to take over. And I would have an NXT participant earn their way into this match, and I would have it be the NXT champion, Adrian Neville. Once again, a chance to introduce this guy, someone who's going to go in there and put on a lot of awesome moves throughout this, doing his flips. Maybe if he's feeling ballsy enough, he can do the red arrow off the top of a ladder. But in the end, my winner for this match would actually be left in confusion. I would have all the people up at top on various ladders, have most of them get knocked down, and the final two be John Cena and Cesaro. They're battling each other, trading punches. They each got a hand on the ring, and eventually they both knock each other down. But in the process, they're both grabbing onto one title each. They fall separate ways, keeping one title in each hand. And we're just left in utter confusion, with Triple H coming out, stormed off, all pissed off, as the logo pops up in the air and goes to black.
So what was the main thing that you were going to book in regards to this? The overall arcing, you got to accomplish this throughout it.
Biggest thing I would be looking to do is rehab some people who have been around and maybe haven't gotten their opportunity to look as good as they should. People like that would come to mind would be Paige and Emma, Rusev, perhaps even Ryback, I think could try to make a name for themselves in their matchup. You know, a lot of tag teams get to really show their stuff in those multi-tag team ladder matches. How many teams have we seen made their names that way? And especially Cesaro. This would be Cesaro's night more than anybody's. Cesaro, that moment when I would see him and John Cena battling out on the top of the ladder, that boo, yay, boo, yay, I think would be more intense than almost any other time in history. The exception of Money in the Bank, of course.
Yeah, true.
In Chicago. Fittingly the same pay-per-view.
All right, so my booking goes as follows. We have a pre-show of Adam Rose versus Heath Slater. Slater did not turn babyface. I mean, it's not 100% sure that he did right now, but it seems like he's going that route. And instead, he comes out and he complains that, 3MB is no longer in the roster, but the party's still, one-man band and all that. And then, you mention a party, you're going to get Adam Rose to come out. There's your quick little feud. And you can continue on, or you can end it here, depending on if they have any chemistry together. First match of the night, and this is actually the biggest thing to explain, would be a mid-card Money in the Bank ladder match. I think the future of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, now that we have one world title, is that you need at least 2 Money in the Bank matches. One for the world title, one for the mid-card titles. Maybe even a third one for the tag titles, I don't know. But this year, it's not the time for it. Instead, the way that you build this around is you do some kind of hints about Triple H saying, well, we don't have a world champion, so the other 2 champions have to kind of step up their game. But I'm not confident in either of you. Daniel Bryan proved that he couldn't handle being a champion. Who's to say fucking Bad News Barrett isn't, or Sheamus? I beat Sheamus in a bunch of matches before. Bad News Barrett, I've kicked your ass before. Neither of you guys could really be the future of the company, can you? So I don't even know if there's a point in having the champions anymore. I think somebody else is going to come out, beat the crap out of both of you guys, and who's to say it shouldn't just be a Money in the Bank too. So you grab a bunch of people. Sheamus and Bad News Barrett are both in this match, even though they're the champions. Damian Sandow, Big E, Titus O'Neil, Sin Cara, Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, and Fandango. A huge roster full of people, because Money in the Bank matches are cool when you can get a lot of people that do a big spot and then they go off and do something else. You add only like 4 people in a ladder match, a lot of times there's a lot of downtime, and I don't want to see that happen. I want to see, lots of moves, fast-paced action. And it ends up with Bad News Barrett winning the Money in the Bank match. Now, he's the Intercontinental Champion, but he can challenge for, technically, either the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship. So they start playing around with the idea that even if he loses the Intercontinental Championship, he will get a rematch clause. And if he loses that rematch clause, he could just cash in on the champion right after that and get his Intercontinental title back. Instead, though, it would end up building up to the next pay-per-view where Bad News Barrett would beat Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship at Battleground, unify the titles, no more 2-belt system thing, no holding up both title belts, nothing. Just Intercontinental Championship, the hell with the U.S. title. That leads us to Stardust and Goldust against Ryback and Curtis Axel. I would have held off on the Stardust thing until this pay-per-view. Build it up as, at the pay-per-view, then that's when you're going to get your magnifying the magnificence thing or something. Standard kind of thing, just a normal match. Rusev beats Rob Van Dam in the next match. Bathroom break, who gives a shit. Hour 2 is tag team title match. Usos against Wyatt Family. Standard kind of thing. Wyatt Family wins. Bo Dallas ends up starting a feud with Santino Marella, because I think that both their characters could just play really well into each other. And that's another way to get a filler match in the card, another win for Bo Dallas. And that's all you really need to say about that. Then we have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. And I probably would just go with a standard match between the two of them. I think you can have a gimmick match at Battleground, and you don't need to waste it here. So Seth Rollins beats Dean Ambrose to keep the momentum going there. Maybe Dean Ambrose comes out on Raw, and then that sets up their Battleground match or something. I don't know. I don't see the point in throwing them in my future ladder match for the title, because if they're not going to win it, they're just kind of a waste, and this would be like a secondary main event. Hour 3 starts off with that bathroom break match. I'm going to actually do what Peyton had said not to do. Paige versus Emma, but they're the sacrificial lambs. Maybe give him a couple more minutes than normal. I don't know. But I think that it doesn't matter who you have against Paige. She's going to retain it anyway. Put her up against somebody who she can have a better match with. And then finally, we have the world title Money in the Bank ladder match. And the field for that basically was the same as what we have now, except for I added The Miz and Kane into the match. I don't have, who was it? Sheamus in the match instead. And I'd just go with Roman Reigns winning. I like the idea of Cesaro winning. I like Bray Wyatt. I would be fine with John Cena. I'd even be fine with The Miz just because I'm a fan of The Miz, but I'm really digging Roman Reigns right now. I think you got to go with the flow. So, who would you guys put for Money in the Bank? What would you do for this card if you were given the chance to? What would your overall story idea be of what you were trying to accomplish? Mine, by the way, would be damage control. Just trying to prepare for the future. Tell us what you guys would end up booking for that, and we are going to do one last thing for this episode. Coming up in the next part, Fantasy League trades and updates. Stay tuned.